Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Rewinds Rewind. We're back again. Episode 2, Big Brother Rewind 17. We're here. As always, I'm Jackson. I'm joined by four other lovely individuals this week, and they are now given the opportunity to introduce themselves one by one. Please, someone introduce yourself.
It is me, Shanks, here once again for the whole time this time.
For a long time
Yay.
this time. Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
I'm Sydney, the not female minority hire anymore because there's two of us.
Period.
I am Alex. I am the other female that they brought on the team, so Sydney wouldn't be so lonely.
And our last
I'm
guest is very special. A two-time player. You may
Woo!
know them as their stint as Lawon, finalist on Rewind's 13, second chancer Clementine on season
One of our
15.
founders,
Yeah,
one of the
Period.
olden days, from the BB
yes.
Can days even.
It is Jake, everybody. Woo!
Oh my
Woo!
God, it's Clementine Marsh.
It
How
is
are
the
you
straight
doing?
man who played a woman playing a gay man, which is so iconic. I
Yes.
cannot
yeah.
with that.
There's not enough straight white men on Discord, so I'm here to fill that void, I guess.
Thank
Yeah,
God.
Thank you
Nucleo's
for that. You're
MIA,
so
so you
brave.
gotta come back.
Someone has to do it.
Exactly.
But yeah, we are here to give you all I was gonna say juicy gossip and details, but there wasn't a lot of that this week, honestly. But that's okay. We still have plenty to talk about.
We'll
And
make it juicy,
exactly,
maybe.
if there's not enough entertainment, we'll like make shit up that didn't happen, but we can say it did, and like we
Jason
kind of have
started
the
calling
final say.
everyone
So let's do it.
slurs.
Like the
I
house guest
love
should be
making
doing
shit
right
up.
now.
Yes, exactly. So yeah,
I love to lie.
Steve did cheat, we learned later on this week.
that's true.
Yeah.
That was kind of juicy gossip, but
That was
not
real
even the
shitty.
fun
Don't do that,
kind.
guys.
So like, what the fuck?
Dumb fuck.
Um, but yeah, last week, we had our first boot. Clay was unceremoniously sent back to the ranch, um, after kind of just disappearing like halfway through the cycle. So that was good. Hey, nobody's got ejected, and all the competitions got played out. So
Because you
that's
yelled at
Our
great.
him to
schedule,
get off Roblox. So,
our schedule. No, Jackson has to yell at Edvin to tell him to get off Roblox.
No, that's
oh,
true.
I'm
I had
sorry.
to I
I'm
had to
sorry.
outsource
Yes.
it to Edvin to message Clay's main and tell him to get the fuck off of Roblox and send a message so he doesn't get ejected.
Thank you for that, Edvin. That was helpful.
And it wasn't much better this cycle with Steve. But you know what? We made it through. And we still have everything intact, thank God. So let's get to talking about it. We go into week 2, and it is high school week. There are plenty
Woo!
of musicals and
My
plays
week,
and stuff. Yes, largely put together by Sydney, thank God.
largely,
That horrible
largely,
that
I would.
play. That play.
Oh, that happened. That feels like that happened so long ago.
It was a lifetime ago. Truly, yeah. But yeah, there's so many musicals and plays that take place in high school for whatever reason. It's just a very formative experience in people's lives, I guess. Um,
Like
so
high
why
schools
not?
always put on plays themselves. It's like the
Yeah.
theater
So why
geeks
not have
rise
a
in high
week centered
school.
around it? Um, Sydney's step into her mind came up with this competition for a play to be had, a very like crude like high school production play that was really just one big reference and tie-in to one of our off seasons that we did of the Traders between season 16 and season 17, and
With a
it
lot
very
more
No
quickly
peeing than the
regrets.
devolved.
real game.
Yeah.
There was
Piss,
so much peeing.
piss, piss.
There was a lot of piss, a lot of piss.
I don't even
To
know
the,
who started the pissing, but
to the point where how many times did they say piss was a
Was a
question
question.
on the
11.
HOH. So
11 times, I think, was the answer.
no, it was 13 times. I
Oh,
tricked them by
Christ.
saying it was 11.
Regardless,
Ah,
that's too many times.
yeah, regardless, that's about 10 too many times that someone wrote that.
Valid. But like, can women just like go to the bathroom? Like, what's wrong with going to the bathroom?
go piss, girl.
Sorry,
Just
we have to
don't
go piss, girl.
don't talk about it.
Okay, straight man, shut the fuck up. Like, what's
All
this
right,
isn't about you?
I'm sorry.
You're getting real
Don't
bold.
cancel
You've been
me.
here for like 5 minutes and you're already attacking me. Like,
Stay in your
whoa.
lane,
Anyways,
God.
the HOH competition happens, and a lot of people just kind of flop for one.
It's very evident that a lot of people saw the messages starting and announcements and immediately tuned out, which honestly,
They
I
did
don't
not
fully blame
give.
them.
I can't tell you how many people were like, "I'm not taking notes on that. I didn't read all that. Sorry that happened to you, or congrats." I
And they were
guess like.
sure disappointed when I made them lose access to the channel when they pressed the command.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah,
sure
Mhm.
thought
for
it was going to be
real.
open book, and it was not.
I think there were still people like up until we literally posted the HOH directions that were like, that was just for fun. That's what sent me. The fact that they thought that I got a group of people to go and announce it to do that purely for fun and not for any reason related to the game. That's
To
crazy.
be
I
fair, I
think so-
also thought the same thing in 13.
That's fair.
So
And I believe
But it's
I
like
don't
that's
fully
such a
I don't fully remember who it was, but it was either like Jace or John or something. Fully after they had done their run of the competition, was like, wait, was this in reference to something that happened? They're like,
Looking
because I
at the
just guessed.
scores, I would guess it
truly
was
locked
John.
in. They are locked in like nobody else.
Yeah, they absolutely are.
We can get to the scores. We had 4 people fumble, start and stop, which
Oh
is
my god.
Oh my
absurd. So
god.
Don't even get me started
the
on that.
illiteracy of this
These-
cast has been shocking.
Terrible.
Like I know we joke every season how the casts are always illiterate, and that is true, but the illiteracy on this cast is like honestly a little alarming.
It's
Like
profound.
Yeah.
what's open the schools?
Literally,
Open the
open the
fucking
schools. It's so
schools.
open
terrible.
the high schools and get them off the stage,
Put
put them in
these
a
people
classroom.
literally get them off Discord and put them in front of a blackboard. Like these people need to learn
Yeah,
how to
I think
read.
I think Alex said at one point, honestly, it might be a good thing that we're doing high school. Like some of these people need to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
So we
Yeah.
have Audrey, James, Megan, Vanessa all DNFing for forgetting to say start or forgetting to say stop. Which how do you forget to say stop? But
And I don't think
Someone
any of those
did.
were like throws. I don't think they were.
No,
I
they
think
weren't.
it was just
yeah.
genuinely
No,
They
flopping.
just forgot. I think oh yeah,
Just
Audrey
can't read.
notably Audrey got a 10 out of 10 and would have been an HOH,
That's
but she
wild.
forgot to say start.
Oh, she was so mad.
Wow, girl.
She
Understandably
shouldn't be
so.
mad.
Fucked
Be mad that you
out,
can't
but
fucking read.
Yeah,
I
don't
no,
be
I think she was like
mad.
mad at herself.
Be better.
yeah.
Valid.
And
Yeah.
then I mean Jackie and John got no one really got well except Davon got a 10 out of 10, and then Jeff and Shelly both got 9 out of 10, and Jeff barely won. The other scores were all not anything to brag about, and I'm doing them a favor by not reading them out loud. But
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty indicative if out of the like 14 people that were playing, that only one person got a perfect score and just automatically won HOH. So
yeah,
but yeah, Davon and Jeff are our new heads of household.
Jeff from the block to HOH.
Yes, I love it. I love it when
Interesting
that happens.
combo.
And albeit it's not quite the norm of like surviving nominee week 1 to HOH week 2 pipeline that I love so much. But it's close enough and I'll take it. And also I waited
Yeah.
like 3 seasons for Davon to win a head of household on the show. So thank God she finally did it on here.
Took her long enough.
Yeah. But yeah, they a lot of people feel more comfortable with Davon as HOH. She's done a lot better of a job kind of socially ingratiating with people. People are kind of concerned and questioning what Jeff is gonna do. But Davon and Jeff immediately go into the HOH room and be like, okay, so we're nominating Steve, right? And so that's an easy nom for the both of them. Steve is if Clay was like at a 0, Steve was at like a 0.1. Like
That's generous.
He's lucky he was against Clay, because quite literally against anyone else, he like probably would have gotten the
Steve did not
so.
campaign last week. Steve stayed because Clay was that bad.
Yeah.
And someone
Steve's
voted for
Campaign
Audrey's
was
fight
actually
mode.
participating in Battle of the Block. That was literally
Someone literally
the
voted
only
for
reason
Steve
he
because
stayed.
they were like, you do not deserve to stay unanimously. You did not campaign. I don't care if it's Clay. You didn't even try.
Yeah,
And that's why I'm voting for Steve. And I'm like,
And
I
she ate with
respect that. I do
honestly,
respect
real.
that. I think, yeah.
But yeah, basically at this point, with a little bit of rollover from the first cycle too, there are a couple alliances that form together out of people being like, okay, well, we had the first cycle, now we're officially into the second cycle. There are normally some people that are maybe a little hesitant to form things like right away. They're like, okay, well, if we get through the first cycle, like then we can form something. So, Austin decides to form the Phantoms with Jackie and John. Jackie hates it, wants nothing to do with it. John does fuck with it, and John is about the only person that genuinely likes Austin, I think. So great. And then
James liked Austin, and then Austin started to like really sketch him out.
that's
So
true. That's true.
yeah.
And
I don't mean to interject, but on the topic of this cast being illiterate, someone is doing HOH right now and just ran through all the monologues without starting and stopping in between.
No, you
Here
even
we go.
specially said you need to start and stop. Oh, that's
And
so
the bot
unfortunate.
says
Are you gonna tell them?
they're already done. I just like
I have no words. Anyways.
Same
James,
old fucking shit.
yeah, for James also is someone that's like on the up and up. Right now he was kind of middling in cycle 1, but he definitely starts to pick things up at this cycle with cycle 2. And he has his super close bond with Jackie that they've formed and only continues to strengthen. And Jackie's feeding him all of this information, and James is taking it and using it to kind of accurately try and like read out like, okay, who are the big players like in the house that I want to make sure like have my back too. And so he makes the rodeo with Jason Davon as well. Um, so those are a couple of the alliances that kind of form early on in this second cycle, kind of in between the like eviction and the HOH being posted. But then Day and Jeff are head of household, and they start talking about who they want to be in like their pool of noms. Oh yeah, and for some reason, right away, when Jeff wins HOH, Becky, like without talking to anyone, is like, he's gonna put me up as a pawn. I just
Becky
I
is
love her
very
so
paranoid,
much.
and I love it
I love
No,
to
Becky.
an insane
she has
degree.
never 1 minute in this game felt safe or
No,
calmed
You
down.
know who
yeah,
she's like Christy Murphy. That's what it is. I'm going up. I'm
yes,
going up.
yeah, and Vanessa is like the Jessica Milagros or whatever. She's like,
Like what?
no, no, you are
No
not.
way, not.
Yeah, that's perfect. Um, yeah, this was something that was very funny. Jason put Steve as like number 3 or something on his trust ranking.
Three.
He's
Steve
about the
is
only
single
person.
digits. Steve 3.
Yeah, but Jason has like not even, I wouldn't even say like a high opinion of Steve. Steve is just the only person that is kind of lower than Jason on the pecking order at this point. And
Yeah.
so Jason wants to keep him around for as long as possible. And he calls Steve his veggie shield.
I have a
I
Radiant video I
started
need
to
to
call
watch.
Steve a crudité in my head because of that. Like,
Mhm.
He was definitely in a vegetative state. I can say that
Yeah, no
much.
kidding. And like props to Jason for, it's not exactly like the most difficult thing to read in the world that like Steve sucks, but
I don't
like
like Jason.
at least you don't like Jason.
No.
You
Okay.
found Donnie.
No,
I thought-
I feel like I don't feel hatred toward anyone this season that I felt toward Donnie. I'm not saying that couldn't
There's still
happen.
time.
That's definite. There's plenty of time for me to form a detestment for somebody. But I mean, I just don't particularly like 5 or 6 people. Jason is one of them.
I'm sure it'll grow into a dominant hatred eventually.
Jason's also beefing with Kadabra, but that's a whole other
I am
storyline to get
obsessed with
through.
that storyline. I love his beef with Kadabra. It just brings light to my life.
Yes, yeah. Which largely starts in this cycle towards the end with the last laugh twist. But
See, like he hates women. Like that's fucked up.
right, of course. Um
Anti-feminist.
but yes, after
Sydney.
Jason talks about making Steve his veggie shield, Jeff commits to himself that okay, one of his nominees is going to be Shelly because she just wasn't very active cycle 1 and she just hasn't really been giving. So sorry, Shelly, but you're going to go on the block. And he goes and tells her that.
Now, for those who don't know, Shelley's already come out and told the cast she is in fact a European, and she didn't want to like have time zone issues and try to make up excuses. So she was like, "Hey guys, I'm European. Please bear with me." And I think she's actually the only one on the cast, to my knowledge. Light spoiler alert, but yeah, she's kind of at a
Or is she?
maybe. So she's kind of a little not fully behind, as we'll see, especially in week 3, that she's not too far behind. but it's just very hard for her to like meet up with people at certain times.
It's
And
just
she
it's
was
taken her a
able,
little bit to kind of get into the groove of things.
yeah, and she was able to use that though to like talk to Jeff and be like, hey, she was like, I don't think it's fair. I haven't like had much time compared to everyone else, blah blah blah. And Jeff took the bait and he committed himself to nominating Shelley, talked to her, and changed his mind. Like
Mother.
you have to
Yeah,
give her
That's
the
props to
mother.
her.
props.
That's
She
so
also
mother.
brought up
That's crazy.
She also brought up to him the valid point that she gave him a really easy elimination in that first HOH
Mhm.
by
Yeah.
volunteering to leave. And he's like, oh, you know what? You're right. That is true. Okay, I won't put you up. Like
And
she
she got
was ready with the pitch of just like bam, 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 bam.
she
Good for
also
her.
mentioned she got third place and was like, Jeff, if I was 35 seconds faster, I would be HOH and you wouldn't even be a nom. I don't know if that's true, but he can't disprove that. So
But
like
it's a
why
great
not
argument.
use that to your advantage?
Yep.
And honestly, I just want to give her props like in the first place because I feel like especially this early in the game, there's so many people that would just be like told that they're gonna be nominated and be like, "Oh, okay. Well, I understand. No hard feelings." But Shelly was like, "Fuck now.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do this.
Yeah.
Here's why. It's not a good idea. And like, please don't." Thanks.
I think she lucked out in the sense that Jeff only committed to himself and
That's
he
true.
didn't tell people because it's
Yeah,
harder to
yeah,
walk
that-
it back and tell people
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm doing
Once
Shelly.
once you verbalize it out into the open, that becomes so much harder to walk back for sure.
Yeah.
He still verbalized it explicitly to her though. He said like you're gonna go on the
Yeah.
block. And he still
Yeah.
walked that back. So that's
Yep.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
not to
Yeah.
take
it
anything
wasn't
away from what
like
she did.
yeah.
No, but you're right. Jake.
It wasn't like, hey, I'm thinking of nominating you. Like straight up, he was like, you're going up on the block.
Yeah.
And she was like, what if I didn't though?
Yeah, what if-
And she didn't. So
Oh no.
Yeah. So I really that was kind of the first moment that I really was like, oh, Shelly can do this. That was the kind of the spark I think that Shelly needed. And
Don't
Times don't
doubt
be
a Shelly.
damned.
yeah, it's something about
Never
those
ever.
Shellys. But I think even if it is kind of like a shitty position, I think it could take something like this sometimes to kind of like light the spark. And I
Yeah.
think Shelly really takes that and kind of like rides with it for the rest of the cycle and kind of makes the best out of a lot of it, especially on a cycle where not a lot of people are doing like anything because they're kind of just content on what's going on.
Yeah. So at this point, Devon had already locked in that she was doing the easy noms of Jason and Steve, and Jeff was kind of annoyed because he had second pick, so he couldn't even do that. He was originally going to do Shelly and one of Austin or John, and after Shelly got herself saved, he just decided to do Austin and John. So as he was delivering his messages and stuff, Austin spoke up and didn't fight to get off the block, but rather he was like, "Can I be put next to Steve, and I'll throw the battle of the block." Because he didn't want a worst case scenario of being up on the block next to John, who was his number one, or at least very high up on his list, and that being on the final nom next to Steve, you're gonna stay. And he's like, even if I don't throw, then we just win the battle of the block, and I'm safe no matter what. So I will give Austin his props for that. It was a good plan to not be to avoid the worst case scenario even happening, and it worked out, as we'll see. It was a bit of a hiccup, but it did end up working out. And then yeah, so they did a last minute nomination shakeup. Jeff never wanted to nominate Jason because they won last week's Battle of the Block together. But then the plan was like given to them, and Jeff was able to like not have Jason mad at him. So big ups to Jeff for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I also do want to give Austin props for that. While I do kind of wish he maybe would have pushed back on the nomination itself to begin with, it didn't even really seem he kind of did that. Like Shelly did, but I will give him props for being able to kind of be like, okay, well, if I'm gonna be nominated either way, trying to put himself in the best position to stay or win veto. So props to Austin for that, absolutely as well. It is nice seeing people kind of attempting and fighting to do their best as far as they can.
Oh, yeah, that was Jeff's big thing. Like, he wanted to be dethroned, and he was like, "Well, Austin and John won the first situation veto, so they'll win the battle of the block and come off." And Austin was like, "We're not even compies. The veto was won by default, and everyone threw the HOH." So
yeah, Jeff made it. Well, Jeff apparently threw the HOH and he thought that it
He
would
did. Yeah.
thought it would be good enough, which is just another chapter in the like learn how to fucking throw a comp book that we should write someday because it's like a tale as old as time. But um so he on I guess him not wanting to be HOH and kind of a similar predicament that Austin and Jackie had last week of well, I would maybe have two people that I would be fine nominating, but like I don't want to have to do a renom if it happens and like piss off three people. So and I think that's fine to have as a mindset, but I would keep it to yourself. Um, which is what I think Austin and Jackie last cycle talked about it with each other, but it like stayed with each other. Jeff was going around literally saying to his own nominees, like, hey, I'm putting you up because you guys won competitions last cycle and I want to be dethroned. I don't want to be final HOH because I don't want to have to put even more people up if one of you do like win a competition again. And that's just it's not a good look for anybody.
Jeff bounces back, but that was a rough start.
Yeah. It pisses Austin and John off a lot. And that on top of them switching anyways, and it's like, okay, well, no matter what, Austin and John, one of them is still going to be on the block after Battle of the Block since this like switch happened. Um, it just was not handled very well at all. And literally because of that, it has now caused other people who have won competitions in the past to be scared about being nominated for Battle of the Block for that same reason. And it's kind of opened the floodgates about that. And it's kind of largely to blame because of Jeff. So it's just not.
And
not
speaking of blaming Jeff, we committed more J on J violence, and Jeff became F as he
Yes.
attacked the Giants by nominating Jason and John.
Yeah, absolutely.
R.I.P. to another J.
Yeah. He doesn't deserve it. If he's
Good
gonna pull
fucking
this shit,
riddance.
he's gonna pull this
I
shit. He
want
doesn't.
those Jays fucking gone. I'm so
Sydney's
tired
like,
of them.
F you is what I say.
Yeah,
I
literally.
just can't. I can't keep the J name straight with all the men. It's pissing me off so bad. I've gotten James and Jason and Jeff mixed up so many times. It's actually so frustrating.
No, I
want-
know. I'm
cannot
always
wait
like,
till
I
it
live in
ends.
terror of saying the wrong one.
Someone made a joke
Like-
that they made an alliance with Jace, and they were like, "Oh, we didn't say Jace. We said Jace. We said
And
Jason, but host heard Jace and it was really funny."
It's just so stupid. And honestly,
It's
I hope the
pissing me
Alliance is
off.
final six. I hope they all make it.
No, that's actually like my honest nightmare. Like that.
I hope we
that's
switch
worst
the
case
twins
scenario for
and
me.
we let Julia come in and she gets 7th place. That's what I
Sydney's
want.
like, okay, you want to know who I hate? It's that entire fucking alliance.
Literally,
Yeah.
the problem is like I don't have any beef towards any of them in particular. I just need the J names to start dying off for like my mental health. So like, so sorry to them. Not Jackie though. She needs to survive. But the rest of them, I don't give a fuck.
The J men is what you're
On the-
saying.
Throw
On the
throw in
topic-
Jackson and Jake too.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah, get like fuck off, guys. Like I'm tired.
I mean, I
of
stand
this.
by that. The J men. Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's so fucking tiring having you guys all around me. Like I can't
Speaking
do it
of the
anymore.
Jays being crazy, we also have Jace who is like going wild and like saying
He's fucking
in
insane.
his
What's
trio,
new?
his trio of Jackie and Devon. He's like, "Oh, Devon, you're getting third. I'm taking Jackie to final two." Just said that. He was like, "Everyone loves me, and Jeff loves me so much, and that you guys are gonna be my jury votes when I jack." He was joking, but those are wild jokes to make.
It's crazy.
That
He
was
does
like
not
half
give a
joking
fuck.
though. You can't
I
tell me
was-
that was purely joking.
He was like,
Yeah.
"I mean, if it happens, it
He was like,
happens."
I've got Jeff wrapped around my finger. He's like, you guys are going to the jury house. I bet
He's like, "Your jury vote
ready
number
to vote
one,
for Jace to
your jury
win.
vote number two."
It was crazy. Luckily, I think it still kind of works for him, and people really enjoy the like chaotic energy that he brings. But
And then
in my mind, he's kind of filling like the Zach role from last season.
he's just
It's
cracked.
giving
a
that
good
He's
way.
very Zach.
And I really think he might have similar trajectories where it's going well for pre-jury, but it's gonna like crash and burn here pretty soon.
Speaking of that, I mentioned the twins earlier. They were also arguing very briefly during their data dump period about how they keep ghosting their people and leaving
I
them
love
for
that
work
so
for
much. It was
everyone
so
to come
funny.
back. And on the topic of the twins, specifically just Vanessa as a whole, Jace is like very suspicious of Vanessa having so many alliances and them all being leaked to him by not Vanessa, which is fun. It shows me how hypocritical Big Brother is because Jace and Devon also have so many alliances, including one with
Literally.
Vanessa, and I'm like,
Yeah, literally.
but
It's just like the fact that Vanessa's game seems transparent to them, whereas they don't see their games that way.
yeah,
Like it seems like Vanessa's game is becoming transparent to people, like a lot of people. And it just makes
yeah.
you seem untrustworthy because it's like, oh, you're working with them but not me. Or oh, you're working with both of us. So who are you really loyal to? So yeah, it's just like
Speaking of an alliance with Vanessa, that's what starts it, is that Meg has this alliance with Becky, John, and
Yes.
Vanessa, and she's the one who leaks it to the Glorb Lord. They name themselves the Glorb Lord.
the fucking worst name ever.
The full name is
Ugh,
the Glorb Snuck Landlords. And they
it
just
pisses
made
me
it.
off so
I love
bad.
them.
These
Honestly,
people,
I vibe. That alliance is like all my favorite people.
Glorb Lords is
no, the
hilarious.
alliance itself I vibe with, but the name like actually pisses me off. Like every time I have to like write it, I'm like, this is actually so dumb.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah,
don't piss me off.
Jace
So
is trying to put a hit out on John and Vanessa with his trio of Jackie and Devon. Will it?
yeah.
Not this week. It didn't stick, but it might. We're in week 4 now. It honestly might throw some legs.
Yeah, I think the problem with Vanessa and Veronica and like the whole twin situation is that I think Jace and Davon and like Jackie and Meg are kind of like actively getting ahead of things and like leaking things to the people that they actually prioritize and care about. And the twins just aren't really doing that.
Their
So
number one is Becky, and they have alliances with Becky, so they don't feel the need. I don't.
yeah,
Maybe it's the twin thing hurting them, or they're not like present enough because they're switching out basically every day at this point, or like
yeah,
every other day, to like really like see the power structure from their own
I can see
eyes as much data dumping as they're giving.
maybe.
It's hard to
Yeah.
like see it without yourself.
So instead of people like finding out things about their game like from them directly, they're finding it out from other people, and that is just making people more and more suspicious of them, like as
Yeah,
days are going
Big
on.
Brother is
They
legally
need to
leaked.
hang on. They need
they're
to
so
hang on,
just
or
win a
it is gonna.
veto, win a
There
Bob,
will
and
be dire consequences if they do not hang on and make it and enter the game. Like
It is gonna blow up the server. Yeah.
I can't
he
tell you
might.
what will happen, but something really bad will happen. So
Something
like we
catastrophic.
all something absolutely
If the
catastrophic
comp
on
is
the
called
level of
keep saying and no
9/11.
one
I
explodes,
will
if the
create
leaks don't
another
enter,
9/11.
they're just gonna explode
Yeah.
outright.
There's
Dead
not gonna
ass.
be there's not gonna be a no explode option. It's just gonna be
I'm about to start sending threats to them in DMs, like telling them like they need to get their shit together.
Okay,
So
Steve.
I mean, I can just quickly mention this because it's stupid, but Steve and Austin had to do the Battle of the Block. Jason and John did the Battle of the Block very quickly,
Mhm.
and they struggled a little bit with like GIFs loading as images and a typo, so it hurt their perfect score, but they did it very well. And
Yeah.
then
they did very well.
Steve just wasn't showing up and was causing a host crisis of like, can we ethically let Austin do this on his own? Jason and John didn't have the option to do it on their own, blah 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 blah. And we were like,
What
I'm
if
just
he
gonna
wins and
fucking
Steve is safe? Can we
Steve,
live with that?
and then Steve
Only
will,
for like
because
Steve to get expelled anyways or
he
whatever.
would have gotten been ejected that same night and we would have had to keep the week. It was just a whole
Yeah. It was
but
a
eventually I beg Steve, he comes online. They flopped out of the block horribly, partially to Austin throwing, partially they just suck. And apparently, at some point in this bubble, Steve detected Austin's name, and Steve on his main asked Austin, "Hey, are you Steve? And are you Austin?" And Austin denied it, and it's just really, I'm like, you're not even present, and you're gonna try to
like,
cheat.
yeah, you have time to do this.
You can't talk to people,
Insane move.
Just wild. But yeah,
and then
they honestly they did better than I thought they would, but also apparently Austin kind of did like throw in a few things
yeah,
to make sure they
he like
lose. They
put
kind of
he
like
said he like skipped a number and mislabeled things. I
yeah.
was like, well, thank you
But
for
To
like
be
not
honest,
to
he could
not
have
to
thrown it a little harder.
I
It
was
was
just gonna
closer
say
than what I
not to like
thought.
spoil
yeah.
this upcoming week, but like there's a lot of people who were like really sus of how close it was for him throwing. So
Yeah.
like I think he actually almost lost
I will
trust because
say
of that comp.
I think he was expecting them to get a perfect score because when you have two active people, how hard is it to? And their fuck ups were both really minor fuck ups that just
Yeah.
hurt their scores a lot. And he skipped two things. Like he full out was like, we can pass on these, and these won't go. So they would have already at max had 23, expecting Jason and John to have a 25 out of 25. So I kind of get it, but it's Like, ugh. Also,
It's
this
kind of
recording's
just a
going
through
out.
story for Austin. He expects people to do perfectly in competitions.
Yeah.
When
Well, he
like
expects his housemates to read,
which
which is just
Too large a task in this
Yeah.
fucking cast.
evidently so.
I think
John and Jason win Battle of the Block. Closer than
right.
what anyone would believe if Austin was actually throwing it, but still not great. So, Jason has now won back-to-back Battle of the Block competitions, and John has now won a veto and a Battle of the Block competition. So if their goal is to not be put up in Battle of the Block because they're good at competitions, I think they're failing. So, but also, what are they gonna do? Like stay on the block? So I don't know. So yes, Jeff got what he wanted. Feel special, girl. You're dethroned.
Real
Um,
special girl.
congrats question mark.
yeah, let's fucking go, I guess.
I guess.
Oh,
I think
and yeah, Jeff is dethroned. Davon stays HOH with Austin and Steve on the block, kind of per the, I don't even want to say agreement, but like, I guess agreement of like what was going to happen with this, because everyone kind of wants Steve out anyways. Um, and veto players are picked. Miss Becky Trainwrecky is picked once again for veto. James also gets picked, and then Austin gets house guest choice the second week in a row. I'm not sure what the stats are on that, but that's pretty unlikely. And he picks his bestie boo John, as he should. He's probably the only person that would actually use it on him, so honestly, that's probably a pretty good call.
speaking of James, he did make an alliance with Vanessa and Austin, which went so far in the game.
Yeah, this is kind of
It's
what
okay.
Alex said at the beginning about how James was one of the people that actually bonded with Austin. And that's kind of few and far between. So yeah, he makes the alliance with, I'm not honestly not 100% sure why Vanessa was included in this. But sure.
It was for the initials, so they could make an alliance badge. That's really what was going on there.
That
That's
makes,
what the R initials was. VAJ.
that's true. No, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the AJ and they really just needed to get the V, and Vanessa was the
Mhm.
only option. So that explains it, absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, they go into veto. It is a competition that I don't remember what it is. What was the veto competition, Sydney?
Zip zap zap.
Zip zap zop.
Right. Classic
How could you forget?
theater nerd like icebreaker game. If you're not a person entrenched in the theater world, it's kind of this stupid game where you like clap your hands together and point at somebody and say either zip, zap, or zop. And
So
they,
it's big booty, but with zip, zap, and zop.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
Actually.
work.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Here
like,
we just turned it into another Crash Boom Pow variant that we've been
yeah,
doing,
that's
and we
perfect.
stole
I
it
thought
from
it was cute.
DB23. Good job to Sydney for making the competition.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm a comp maker now.
Yeah,
Period.
you're just gonna take over. You can make all this stuff for 18. How about
The
that?
Fuck
most
no.
notable thing,
Holy fuck no.
the most notable thing about this veto for me was that Steve almost won. And
Yeah.
people in the results were like freaking out, like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, no, 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 no.
We were
no.
all
Yeah.
panicking.
Yeah, for
We
real.
were panicking.
We really were too, because like the longer Steve is in, the more likely he's gonna get ejected. I feel like at this point.
It's
Yeah.
really
Literally,
annoying to have to track that 48 hours. Like,
he was
It
just a
is.
drag. Like he wasn't adding anything. Like even when he was online, it wasn't like he had any fun moments. Like he was just
Like Liz was
flop.
like, oh, I was gone for 24 hours once. And I'm like, first of all, she wasn't really. But then B, I looked and I was like, honestly, the Liz is present enough that I would not have noticed.
No.
But like a Steve or a Clay, that's where it's like, okay, say something. But
Yeah.
Flop.
Well, like it's
Yeah.
such like it can. There are plenty of people that like have full on lives that can do orcs perfectly fine. Like it is absolutely a quality over quantity thing if it has to be
yeah.
like a not
Mhm.
quantity thing. So like it really is not. I personally don't really think it's that hard to like, okay, well,
No.
I'm at work during the day, so I'll be here at night or like in the morning. But like you can make that time count and work and like it'll be good and you'll still get really far. And we've seen
and
that.
I feel like people are actually pretty respectful about that, like post pandemic, about like, hey guys, I have worked from this time to this time, but like, other than that, reach out, you know, they were like, I'll reach
Yeah.
out to you or whatever.
Like I think Amber was like a big like did that a lot last season. It was like, hey,
Amber
I'm
also
at work,
pretending
I'm
to be
super busy
Australian for no
today.
reason.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Amber protecting her peace, pretending to be Australian. Yeah, but like that was a quality over quantity thing, and like Homegirl almost like won the game. So I
Yeah.
it's as big as a problem as you make it, I think. But
mhm.
but yeah, uh, quite a few. I mean, this competition is such a thing where you really have no idea who's gonna win until everyone's gone, anyways, because it's so
Yeah,
dependent.
there was almost a chance of like Devon and Jeff both throwing the final question, and they both still could have been in the game on the final question, and we would have had to do like a forced sudden death tiebreaker round, which thankfully we didn't have to pull out because they were just slow enough on the wrong rounds or something. But
I made
yeah,
one though.
she did make one. We're going to use it in
Sing
Zoomland.
party. Oh,
Hell
okay.
yeah.
Exactly.
And switch.
I know, and I think one of the large ones,
Same thing.
Becky had a really slow time in like number 3 or number 4 or something, and that was kind of the
Yeah.
problem spot we were looking at. And that was
But then
kind of
Austin just went slower than she could have conceivably
yeah,
imagined. So
that was kind of like the convergence point of the competition of like it's going like two very different ways. Um, but yes, Miss Becky Trainwrecky does end up coming away with the veto. She pried it from Steve's cold dead hands.
literally
Thank
cold
you,
and dead.
Rebecca. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Queen mother,
Rebecca
so
Trainwrecker.
grateful.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
After the veto competition, I ushered out the last laugh, and as everyone saw before the season, I randomized a number between 1 and 15, and it landed on number 1, which meant that after someone answered the phone, I was no longer beholden to sending these things at an exact schedule. And I could fuck with people and just send really mean things to everyone. So I just decided to revive Zingbot a little early instead of harassing the players and
I thought
he'll
it
get
was great.
his
I
proper date
appreciated that.
It was
Yeah.
where
very
he
funny.
belongs. And now
Um,
Jason is beefing with Kadabra because I used Kadabra to deliver the message.
yeah. And they start to like psychoanalyze like random shit that we were saying and like theater kid posting to like try and base on oh yeah, because we were talking about no, it was
It was
the house
Jason.
cat. They were
Someone
talking
brought up
someone was like, how
how
many
many times you say
chuggas
chugga
is
chugga
yeah,
chugga.
how many chuggas is correct until you get to choo choo? Like just the
And
stupidest thing.
Sydney said 12 and I said 14. And then Meg was like, oh my God, 14 is such a crazy thing for chugga chugga. My brain thinks that's going to be the answer for the button. I'm like, why would I say
Yeah,
that?
like psychoanalyzing
You can,
the numbers of chugga
this
chuggas.
is like idol bullshit from
Chugga,
Survivor.
chugga,
Like, this
chugga,
is Big
chugga,
Brother,
chugga,
y'all.
chugga,
Come
chugga,
on.
chugga, 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 chugga,
I
chugga.
still
It's
think it
12.
that's crazy. That's way too many.
It's eight. It's eight.
We already
I
know
Thank
that
just,
Sydney
you.
needs to be
I
committed. So, like, it's
I
fine.
just kept going until it felt right to say chew, and
I
it's
also said
12.
it was 8 because it's chugga 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 chugga
Chugga,
choo
chugga,
choo.
chugga,
Like
chugga,
Why are
chugga,
y'all
chugga, choo
edging your
choo.
chuggas? I don't understand. Like,
it's
14 just hit
You
different. I don't. Anyways,
It's oh, never mind, never mind. I was gonna say
go
something
ahead.
stupid.
no,
no,
It
keep
has to
please
be
going.
do. Please, everyone
No,
else
you
is.
have
So,
to.
please do.
objectively, it's a multiple of 4 for sure. So 14's so wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I'm
It's
honestly Shinx, that's
the
fucked up.
last two just hit different. I don't
nah.
know. I
And
Incorrect.
disagree.
that's where you
False.
really lost me because I was willing to like kind of
12.
wager, like I was willing
It's
to
12.
mediate with Sydney on 12, but then you went 14 and it
It's
was
like a choo
just
choo. It hits different for my brain. I don't know.
no.
It's
Anyways,
the
Meg immediately answers the phone after almost talking out of it and
yeah.
gets the last laugh,
She
and then immediately makes a joke about, oh yeah, I answered it and I got it.
got
So
it. And she was lucky that I hadn't delivered it to her yet, so she technically didn't break the rule of
yeah,
like
because Shinx
she had
literally
like a
said,
good 30 seconds
yeah,
of
Shinx literally said, hey, like it's not allowed to say you have it. Like you can,
No, it was that you
you
can say you have it, but you can't lie and say that you have it if you don't.
yes.
So
so
she wouldn't have
saying
been
I
able to
have
say,
it.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And
She
it
was just
was
very lucky that I was very slow in getting to the bot
and,
because
And
if I
Jason
said,
of all people immediately was like, girl,
girl, that's
are you
against the
sure?
rules. And I was like, hey guys, no one broke any rules. I didn't deliver the thing to Meg yet.
Yes. And this also
Yeah.
starts Jason's rivalry with Kadabra because Jason answers one of the next few phone calls too. and gets one of the fake calls and gets just roasted by Kadabra, and he doesn't hold back. He gives it right back to her.
But yeah, Meg, but I guess this last laugh was so unimportant. I feel like we can just talk about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Meg almost talked herself out of getting it because she tricked herself into thinking 14 was going to be important. And she answers it first, thinking it's not going to be the first one. It's the fucking first one. And when I randomized that, I laughed and I almost redid it, but I was like, nope. The bot said one,
Yeah.
one it shall be.
Yep.
And because I would have felt bad if like I changed it and someone who needed it did one. And
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I was part of me wishes that I like changed the rules and was like, okay, it actually lasts for 3 weeks, but every week you hold it, it loses a vote that can be canceled. But I wasn't thinking about how week 2 was kind of a lame week to have a vote fire. But
Okay.
nonetheless, Meg has it.
Yeah.
Her first question is, can I cancel my own vote? And I'm like, I mean, I don't see why not.
Sure.
Pablo almost nominated himself in 15, apparently. So
Sure. Absolutely
we have the
did.
precedent
King
for
for that.
damaging yourself with anonymous
Well done.
power.
Yeah, so
That's my
that's her,
king.
that's her first question. Is her second question is, how can I use this to flip the vote and send Austin home?
They almost considered it, which was pissing me off, but they
They
No,
really
it was
almost-
pissing me off. It's like, just let Steve die a slow,
Literally.
painful death this week so that
Yeah.
none of us have to deal with this fucking loser flop ass anymore. And then you can get rid of Austin if you really so please.
Thankfully, they did. Didn't
And
flip the
that is
vote,
exactly
but
what they
That's
did.
what happened.
Yeah,
That's
Austin.
literally
Yeah.
exactly what
talked
they
about
did.
it for, and like I think considered it for like 10 minutes, and then Jace just went
Yeah.
for Steve anyways. So,
Yeah, which is funny
like,
because Jace was the big one saying let's keep Steve, and League One he was saying
Yeah.
let's keep Clay, but I guess he realized it wasn't worth it.
and yeah, he was just like,
Excellent.
it's not worth it, whatever. Then just voted for
But
Steve.
yeah, Meg decided to cancel her vote. Then she canceled Jason's vote, I believe, and she was going to cancel. No, she canceled Liz, and because just like LOL, why would anyone cancel Liz's vote? And then she
And
was
Liz
going to
just
cancel
volunteered too.
Audrey.
Yeah, because she
Yes.
she owned up to having it in the Glorb Lords.
And
And
yes.
was
Half
kind
the
of
house
like,
knows
Stop
Meg
saying
now.
that out loud. Stop saying it out loud. You're pissing me
Lord,
off.
lords.
yeah. They talk
It's
about it in
pissing me
there.
off.
They talk about it in there. And like while they're talking about it, Becky obviously is not going to use the veto. She doesn't care about
Yeah,
all
she didn't.
the people on the block. And I think
She
Austin
thought
did
about
also
it
not
to
to
like
use
she
veto.
was like, what's more important, getting goodwill with Austin by saving him, or getting goodwill with Devon leaving him the same? And she picked the right choice.
Yeah,
We
there's
now
there's
see.
an absolute right choice to that. And she made that. So good for her.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so Meg tells everybody in the Glorb Lords that she has the last laugh, and they're like, "What should we do?" And she at first she wants to cancel Audrey's vote along with herself and Liz, because Liz is just like, "You can cancel my vote. I don't really care. I think Steve's going home anyways." Um, and Meg what Meg had thrown out canceling Jason's vote, but said that she didn't want to because she didn't want to like kind of like stir Jason on and like kind of motivate him to win the next HOH by being like, these people hate me, like they're canceling my vote, like no one cares about me, blah blah blah. And so that's why she was gonna cancel Audrey's instead. But then Jace was like, LMAO, just do it. Like who cares?
Yeah.
But so she ends up canceling Jason. So she cancels her own vote, Jason's vote, and Liz's vote. And two of those actually end up her own, because I mean Meg was gonna cancel her own anyway, so I guess her vote doesn't really count as a vote towards Austin.
She literally was like, I voted for Austin, and I canceled my own vote. Like
Yeah,
seconds after she showed
whatever. But Jason also did end up voting for Austin, just because he doesn't like Austin at all.
he wanted to protect his veggie shield.
Yeah, so I guess good for Austin. I guess it canceled like two of the votes that would have gone to him. I don't think it would have made much of a difference anyways, but that's okay. Yeah, Austin, I wouldn't say he puts on like a masterclass of the campaign to stay because he's against Steve. But he certainly does more than Steve does, which is again nothing. So the
The
votes,
bar is buried
bar.
underground, but he still went over
Yeah.
it. So you know what?
Yeah.
Good for him.
exactly. Yeah, the bar's like 6 feet under, and Austin like dug a little trench. So there's at least that. And yeah, there are some people. Audrey does still end up voting for Austin because she's addicted to hinky votes, I guess, and that's just her vice. We all have our vices, and Audrey's is hinky votes for people she knows isn't going home. So Austin does still end up getting Audrey's vote, but all the other votes come in for Steve, and Steve is evicted by a vote of 8-1. And the winner's curse strikes again.
To be expected.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I know, honestly. If I'm being so real, Steve is probably one of my least favorite winners on the Real Show anyways. So
Oh, absolutely. I blame him
Yeah.
I stopped watching the show because of him.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a
Leave
bad
my
one.
nerd king alone.
No,
Oh.
justice for Vanessa. I was
She
such
should
a
have gotten the
Vanessa
last
stan.
question
Even
right. She should have got the question right. She should have got the question right. I'm sorry.
But yeah.
you know what? Okay, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, Steve dies as he lived, like a good 12
Flop.
hours away from getting ejected. So
A flop, a loser, a cheater, no one wanted him here. Bye, good riddance.
just the
But you
list.
know what?
the
At least
list
we had a
goes
full
on.
cast. It's fine.
Yeah, at least we had
So
a full
true.
cast. And
He had a purpose.
I think there were some funny moments revolving around Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People talking about him, but Steve himself just did not
I was
get.
gonna say, I'm like, which ones? Oh, okay, other people. Yes.
I know someone said about Steve, the Crystal Cox, you have made my life living hell since day
I
one.
think it was Audrey.
Probably. But people
She
said that
she
about
said it
Clay too. I
during
think
her
Jay said
vote.
it about Clay and Audrey said it
Yeah.
about Steve. But that's fine. And I will say I'm glad that he's gone now before it became a let's keep Steve around.
Yes.
What's fucking Steve gonna do?
It
So
was about to become an April situation, which she wasn't as bad, but to
yeah.
me she was.
So yeah, that was largely the week. I wouldn't say on the surface there was a lot going on this cycle. Just because it was kind of lined up to be like, okay, Clay's out this week. Steve doesn't really deserve to be here either, so Steve can just go next week. But I do think there was a lot going on kind of under the surface, just with some like shifting loyalties and some more alliances and allegiances being made. And people more and more people kind of starting to suss out who exactly is working with who and who's gravitating towards who, which I think will lead to, even if it is a bit of a slower first couple cycles, I really think a large majority, if not all of the people that are left after this bring a lot to the table. So I think it'll start heating up after this for sure. So I'm okay with 2 weeks of setup if we get like a lot going on for the rest of the season.
I've always said you either get a really boring pre-jury or a boring jury, and I would always rather a boring early
Absolutely.
game
Yeah.
because that way you kind of gives the other like players time to kind of really like establish things and kind of get like their little roots in, their hooks into people.
Yeah.
And I would always rather a slow start than a really boring as fuck steamroll at the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I completely agree.
It's not gonna be action packed every week. The soup's gotta simmer, you know.
Mhm. Exactly.
And it's simmering. I can feel it. So yeah, that was by and large the second week. It's time we move on to our MVP points of the week. There are 5 of us here. Each one of us is going to give out a point matching whatever criteria we see fit towards who we enjoyed the cycle the most, who we think played the best the most, who improved the most, whatever you want to do. We all have the right to one MVP point to give away. Is there anyone that is feeling a particular kind of way that wants to start?
I was gonna say that we might have called him a crackhead earlier, but I do think my MVP point has to go to Jace because
Yes.
as they've been staying on the real Big Brother, he's got his hands in a lot of pots all of a sudden, and no one is really clocking him too much except Jackie, who's working with him, so she's not really threatened by it, and she's aware of it, and it's like we'll keep that in the pocket for later.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Vanessa, who's doing the same exact thing as Jace and getting clocked for it. Now, again, we did say Vanessa's like basically playing half the time, so I'm not gonna like use this to dog on her. But Jace is doing the same thing and much more successful. And he was never in danger, and I don't see him being in danger for a while.
Mhm.
Like, if he goes up, it'll be either like a pawn or he volunteers or someone just there's gonna take a lot of specific things to happen for Jace to go up, but no one's just gonna throw him up right now. And I think he deserves an MVP point for that.
Which is especially impressive when there's 4 noms a week.
And he made week 2, which the real Jace could not do. So
Dang, he's already improving.
Period.
Cool. Yeah, okay. Well, I will go ahead and I will take this time to mention something that was actually a key factor in I was kind of on the fence about one person being MVP just from like the first half, But then towards the end, I will actually say that I forgot to mention that Shelley also kind of builds on top of her, like, not just kind of rolling over and being a nominee, but she also gets in with Davon and Jace and James, who are a lot of these big power players that have a lot of sway in the house, and she does make an alliance, a 4-person alliance with them as well. So that was kind of like, oh, I was thinking about giving Shelley my MVP point, but I wasn't quite sure. And then once I saw that before the cycle was over, she locked that in with some very important people. And it does seem to be, while I don't think it's like the top of people's priorities, it is an alliance that people consistently talk in and seem to genuinely be invested in. And people seem to genuinely be invested in at least Shelley herself, if not this grouping of like in like all seriousness of the 4. So that was like a confirmer for me that I wanted to give Shelley my MVP point. So for not just like sitting down and like taking Jeff's nomination and pushing back on it and successfully getting him to not nominate her, and then taking that safety that she earned herself for the week really, and aligning with 3 of like the people at the top of the game right now and working on those individual relationships as well. I'm going to give Shelley my MVP point for the cycle.
I'll go.
Yes.
Just because it's the same thing. I'm gonna give it to Shelley. Partly not to undermine what Shelley did, because it was very slave, very mother. But there also just like wasn't a lot going on this cycle. Like to me, the bright spots that did happen were like this was the biggest one for me. Like she kind of had the biggest star power, the biggest moment. Especially because the week before, like she wasn't like flopping, but she wasn't really like anything special compared to some of the other big power players in the game.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see her come in and have like this big moment where she like kept herself off the block and like established herself, got an alliance going. So for me, she was like the clear MVP.
Yeah, absolutely.
Period. I can go next. So I originally was thinking about doing Shelley as my MVP. Because obviously, I mean, basically talking yourself off the block is my love language. I fucking love that. I love a Shelley, etc.
Yeah.
But you know, I knew that other people were going to be doing her, and one of the other people who I really want to give some love to is James. And I think that James has done a lot. Like, you know, we were talking about how this week is a pretty like boring week and there really wasn't a lot going on. And I think that James took that opportunity to really build his connections in a very authentic way.
Yeah.
If you kind of like read people's diary rooms, when they talk about James, they're like, oh my God, soft-hearted king, like genuine, like everyone just talks about him as being like genuine and kind and someone who like they think they specifically have in their back pocket. And I think he's doing a very good job of like creating those kind of individual bonds with people and stuff without appearing threatening. And I think that's a very important skill to have in Big Brother. And you know, who knows, this could all blow up on him, but for now, I think he's doing a really, really good job of just kind of like spreading his, you know, his social game without appearing to be like one of those major power players who's going to kind of be like sniped because they are this massive threat, right?
Yeah.
So I think that he's done just like a really, really good job at that. And one of the things I actually even noticed, and I forget when this diary room update was, I think that might be this episode, so like a little bit of a spoiler, but when Jackie and James, my favorite duo ever, kind of made their little thing, one of the things Jackie was talking about was she was worried that like she was basically going to be carrying that duo. You know, she's like, I'm in all these alliances, James isn't really in anything, you know, like, is he really going to be that valuable to me? Am I kind of screwed with this like ride or die? And she recently was like, you know what? No, I feel really, really good about James. Like, he's carrying his own weight. He's really stepped up. You know, like, I am just feeling really, really good about how things are going. And I think James is on like a really good trajectory for like long term in this game, which is just really lovely to see. You know, I just love that growth arc for him.
Yeah.
Period.
All right. Guys, I knew it was gonna happen, but you stole my answers. I'm gonna go with Shelley. I'm gonna go with Shelley.
As you should.
But building off of what Sid said, about how sometimes it's hard, like there's not a lot going on in this cycle. Sometimes it's hard to change the tide when you're the only one pushing, like it would have been so easy to just, yep, this is what we're doing. It's, very obvious. Clay went home. We're gonna, push Steve out, and here's how we're gonna do it, and that's that. And not to make everything about me, but I'm gonna when
That's what we do on this show. It's fine.
fair enough. When I was on Second Chances, I was in a similar boat where I got nominated early on. I forget who nominated me. I'm not sure. I think it might have been Sunflower pre-jury.
Fucking Liam.
Yeah.
Clementine's first nomination was week 4 by Zelda.
Zelda.
Oh.
That makes sense.
Fucking Chris.
One of those two.
Yeah, so I was in, like, it wasn't sort of like an inactivity thing, but like nonetheless, I got nominated relatively early on, and I started just like, hey man, am I realistically gonna be able to talk myself off the block? I'm just like, nope. I was like, all right, good luck. Hopefully, hopefully I win veto. Hopefully you don't. And that's that, right? It would have been so much easier for Shelly to just do that and roll over, but she didn't, and mad props to her for that. And not only that, but springboarding it into setting herself up meaningfully rather than just like having that one moment, like Jackson said, like she could have just fought for herself there and then laid low going forward, but she turned it into something meaningful in hopefully in the coming cycles, and props to her for that.
Yeah, and I think even with Jeff, she was like, thank you. After Jeff said that he changed his mind and he was gonna put up Shelly, she like went out of her way to be like, thank you, like I will remember this, like
Yeah,
not
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Great. So that's all the MVP points. Sydney, it is now time for you to award somebody the top billing of the week. Give us your best shot. What you got?
Yet again, I'm looking forward to a week where you guys all fight with me about who it can be, because those are the most fun. I don't know when that'll happen. This, like last season, it happened a lot. This season, I don't know. But I'm gonna give it to Shelly. I'm not gonna repeat all the reasons.
Oh my
I
god,
said
it should be
before.
Jace. What's wrong with you?
It should be
It
Don't
should
talk
be
to me.
Steve. I don't know what you're
Don't talk
talking
to me
about.
about a man. Don't talk to me about a fucking J name in particular. I don't want to hear it. I will
I'm
not be
obsessed
giving
with
a
your
J
energy,
name.
Sydney. Keep
I
going.
will not be giving a J name MVP if I can fucking help it, or fucking top billing. Like
A
if
man,
I
because
have
you
to,
would
I
give it to
will.
Jackie. Come on now.
Yeah.
I would no. I said J name man. Jackie.
There we
of
go,
course,
period.
like that's queen. That's mother. Like I would
Yeah.
never go against her like that.
Absolutely.
But anyway, top billing is obviously Shelly. That's mother. That's mama. She slayed this week, and
That is my cougar
nothing else.
queen.
Literally nothing else to say.
Period.
That's
Yeah.
it.
I will. Okay, so this season we are doing instead of me saying the only thing we have left is to rewind and take a stroll down Rewind's memory lane or whatever. Instead we are doing our nominees for our awards every season, and I can reveal the results of last week's nominees. So
yeah, I forgot we
if you
took a
listened to
poll.
last week, maybe you didn't. That's okay.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so
I think I did the poll.
the nominees
I did the poll.
for the
Oh,
biggest
we're allowed to vote in it?
Yeah.
I wasn't there,
What
so
the
I
fuck?
voted.
Oh,
I assumed I couldn't
literally
vote in it
forgot that
because
we did
I
a
was in the
poll.
podcast.
Okay,
I
well,
didn't
I just thought I couldn't
speak
vote
on
in
that
it.
part, so
now
I
you
didn't
know
vote.
for next time. But yes, so
Fine.
last week we had the nominees for the biggest competition flop in Rewind's history. Just a quick refresh of what the noms were. We had in Rewind's 2, the final 6 face more failure that Jake actually largely contributed to through his results, as Sydney so beautifully described. We had in
They were
Rewind
so bad.
6, Janelle sleeping through part 1 of the final HOH and then getting a 3 out of 14 in part 2. In Rewind's 9, we had Jen racking up a score of 913 in Zingland.
Aria, you will always be famous.
Yeah, exactly.
Truly.
In Rewind's 12, we had Matt taking an edible moments before Zingland happened for the first time.
Zing party, actually.
Zing party, yeah, even worse, honestly. In 13, we had our very own special guest for this episode, Jake as Lawon, attempting to do Zing Party mini games while stopping at traffic lights in between drives.
King shit.
Yeah,
We had
it would be if I didn't blow it.
yeah.
You blew it. You just took the last places at that point. Honestly.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
but it
think
was
if I remember
flops, so like
correctly,
you did
yeah,
well for this.
you were like, "Congratulations, everybody! No one's gonna be losing points from this point on." So,
Yes.
congrats on
Yeah.
at least staying where you're at. And then at 15, we had Isabel and Pickman's mid-off for last place in Zing Party.
Mid-off is so crazy.
Mid-off is hilarious.
A lot of Zing Party entrants on this. In 16, we had the Frostbitten Frames, disqualification, DNFs, mercy kills, all of those. And then of course we had from this season John winning, by default because no one knows how to do stopwatches or spell or grab tiles and bring them back or whatever. So I can confirm that with exactly 50% of the vote that the winner of the biggest competition flop in Rewind's history is indeed Jen and Big Brother Rewind's 9.
Let's
Racking
go.
up a score of
Period.
913.
I voted for that one because I was like, okay, well, I was rooting for Jeevan and I already had that disappointment with Jen. I had to host it. I was like,
Yeah.
what's worse? And I was like, I'm gonna pick this one.
Yeah, okay.
Jake, did you know that the BBR2 reading, like that is one of my favorite BBR moments in history. Your comp reading from that season. It's so fucking funny. You set the stage for so many sassy result readings after that. Like that was the blueprint. That was the blueprint.
But yes, cycle 1, or I guess week 1, we have our winner. Congrats, Aria. You won another thing.
We love you, Aria.
I'm sure you're aware
Aria
it was
should win
fine.
all of the things.
My
That's
favorite
correct.
player in the history of players.
Yes.
It's
So this week, inspired by Jeff's really just top tier handling of why he wanted to nominate John and Austin, even though he eventually ended up nominating Jason instead, but by his just magnificent handling of why he's doing what he's doing, we have decided that for the second week, the category will be worst head of household bedside manner in BB Rewinds. So basically just anyone across the series that has just done a terrible job as head of household, either like making their noms feel comfortable, delivering the news to the noms, just kind of anything that falls into that realm of the nominees are pissed the fuck off at the head of household.
yeah.
Which can be kind of easy to do in its own right, but I think we have a group of selections here that really just kind of rose to the occasion and just gave it that extra little sprinkle on top. So obviously,
Yeah.
as he is the inspiration for this, the first nominee for worst head of household bedside manner will be Jeff. Just letting everybody know that he really wants to get dethroned, and he's going to put up 2 of the 4 people that won a competition last cycle to do that. So that's the first nominee. I will throw another nominee into the ring myself, and I want to nominate Jacob from Big Brother Rewinds 9.
Ay.
Jacob was a mess in pretty much every cycle that he partook in across that season. But he had a streak of winning 3 veto competitions in a row.
Nom veto.
Yeah, in the pre-jury, and it was finally the jury phase. The pairs were finally split up from the like astrology compatibility pairs.
Thank you, Sydney.
Yes, that Sydney was the
Welcome.
astrological advisor on. And it was finally an individual game, and Jacob was the first HOH to win as like a solo HOH in this individual phase. And this was really the opportunity he could have to maybe shake off him being kind of like a wild card and being insane and doing that. But he really just decides to like double down on it, if anything. And he initially nominates Chelsea and Amanda for eviction. Chelsea was just someone that kind of openly antagonized Jacob in the past, so that wasn't overly surprising. And Amanda was largely the pawn. And I believe Jacob had kind of hinted or maybe toyed with the idea of like backdooring a bigger player or working with like some other people to maybe get another thing going. But he had especially been kind of buttering up who we called the nice girls in Rewinds 9, which was Amanda herself as well as her partner through the pre-jury, Natalie. They were very nice people and very like kind of Alex's kind of favorite things. They were both like social femme, like really good players through a lot of it. And Jen, who the winner of cycle or the winner of week one's award, had won veto and took Chelsea off because Chelsea was her partner for the pre-jury. And Jacob, instead of doing anything that he said with Amanda and Natalie and working with them in any way whatsoever, just goes full scorched earth and puts up Natalie against Amanda herself, anyways, guaranteeing that one of the nice girls will be going home, and really just cements himself as a not great player in the grand scheme of things. And he like
Gagged him.
he's like arguing and yelling with Amanda and Natalie, both like in private and in public.
Natalie hated him by the time she walked out the door. It was so bad.
Natalie was so mad, and rightfully so. And yeah, Jacob just handled it absolutely terribly and then went on to get evicted the very next cycle anyways. So that is my nominee for the bad HOH versus noms category. Whoever wants to go next.
I'll go next. I had two options in mind, from not to harp on my winning season, but BB15.
Oh, good lord!
I'm not gonna
Always
punch.
harp on that, babe. It's the new
Always
six. We're just gonna
keep
always talk
every
about
goddamn
ourselves.
time. Not like you've
They-
hosted fucking a billion other seasons. Always got to be the
But
one you want.
has he won a billion other seasons? No.
Anyways,
Flop.
they both
Flop.
come down from Blaze, or Sombra. And this, we talked about Sombra and Zelda so much. I'm gonna mention it. If it goes on the poll, it goes on the poll. But what I'm really gonna talk about here is Sombra and Waddle Dee at the final 5, because that
Bandana Waddle flop.
was
Stop.
something. That I didn't even
Leave
know
him
the half
alone.
of it.
Nothing but respect for my fan favorite.
I can speak on this because I went
Deserved.
back and looked at it because I didn't know how bad it was in the moment. So
Oh, I did. I fucking knew how bad that shit was.
They
That was
tried to
bad.
kill me as they always did. I won the veto as I
You
always
deserved
do.
it.
I come off the block and then I'm like, I don't care what you all do. They were all like, "Oh, this is I'm so sad. This is hard for me." Like, you people wanted to kill me. Stop crying in my face that you couldn't kill me. I don't care. Then I like said, "Fuck off. Deal with the renom. I don't care. Truly, I hope you think your jury votes with this renom." And then what did Sombra do? She went and sunk her jury votes because she did not talk to Waddle Dee at all. So, spoiler, I'm real life best friends with Aqua, and we were like on the phone during this. And in real time, Sombra's telling me, I'm gonna go tell Waddle Dee. And then Aqua on the call goes mute. Like, he mutes himself on the call, and I'm like, oh God. And then a few minutes later, he just hangs up on the call. And I'm like, I work with friends, I'm like, guys, I think Aqua's getting backdoored at Final 5, and it's kind of my fault because they wanted it to be me. And then I learned after the season that, yeah, Sombra just did not speak to Dee the entire renom period.
To be fair to Sombra, she was at like a fucking concert or something that weekend, and she really didn't have like a lot of time. But like, it was so unfortunate because it wasn't just like backdooring anyone; it was backdooring her other number one.
Yeah,
like to save
because
the
I believe at that
yeah, it
point
was
they
just
had
so
to
bad.
nominate one of Alex or Aqua. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
then yeah, so he didn't talk to Aqua until he was going to do it, and then to throw my 2 cents, when I was going to be put up at first, like I was again Blaze's concert thing, I was like talking to him, and I was like as sort of what Shelly did, I was trying to like fight the nomination. I was like, give me a chance, like talk it off, and then he was like, okay, and then he waited damn near the entire. I said that to him immediately. Am I going up? He's like, probably. And I talked it off. But he waited basically the entire 24 hours, it felt like, might have really been, to then tell me, I'm sorry, I'm not changing my mind. I was like, why'd you wait the whole day to tell me that? Like, that just, it pissed me off so much. And then I was also like dealing with real life stuff that was pissing me. I think I just logged off for the night. I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'll log back on tomorrow.
And you know what? That's just what you need sometimes.
And yeah, I was like, I can't do this. Yeah, he pissed me off.
And And just to
Piss
defend
Aqua
myself,
off.
I call Bandana Waddle Flop that because Bandana Waddle attacked Doom and was the biggest reason, okay, not the biggest reason, but was one of the biggest reasons Doom, my bestie, left. So I
Okay,
carried
never
a grudge
mind. You're
against.
correct then. And
Yes,
that is the
Ban-
reason why I bully Shanks so
yes.
much about that season. Is
Bandana
RIP
Waddle
Doom.
Flop literally just decided to hate Doom because Doom didn't like talk to him for like a 6-hour period and was like, he's against me. I need to get him out of this house. And then like he
Anyways.
did. And so love you,
Yeah,
Aqua.
my reasoning is my vote, nomination, whatever, is Sombra at Final Five. How she handled me, and even more how she handled D. And that jury vote was lost because we got to Final Two. Aqua voted for me almost immediately, not because he's my friend, but because Blaze pissed him off that much. And
Okay, we
someone
can
else
move
had to get
on.
the reins.
We got the gist.
I just said you could
No,
get
it
the
was
reins,
really
girl.
fucking bad,
It was
Sydney.
pretty
And it
bad,
also was
actually.
extra bad because like I couldn't tell, like D was
I didn't
asking
say
me
it
what
wasn't
the fuck's
bad.
going on because
Oh
like
yeah, Alex was
Pikmin is
sworn
going to D
conspiracy.
going, oh my god, you're about to get robbed, and D's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So he's coming to me like, do you know what Pikmin's talking about? And I can't say jack shit because I was just kept off the block when I should have been on the block,
Yeah.
like by any normal person's rights. Like,
Mhm.
and so I'm just like, I know that Sombra's the only one who fucking takes me to 2. I can't say something. Like I have to let her have this conversation. It was just terrible. It was so
I
bad.
remember you saying in your DR or something like it's not my place to tell Waddle
It
that
really
he's
wasn't.
going
It was
home.
not my
And
place to
I
say
really
anything
respected
there.
that.
It was a good move. It was
If you're better than me,
that
I would have stoked the flames and made them fought.
Yeah,
Oh,
you were already
God.
shitty.
throw you under the block.
that season was just so emotionally charged. Like I
It
feel like
was.
every cycle,
Yeah.
but specifically when we got into jury, it was just like, I mean, especially because a lot of you guys at that point started to figure out who each other were. So it was like
Yeah.
you knew who you were
Yeah.
targeting, you knew who you were getting out.
Yeah.
We as the host knew who you guys were getting out. It was just like a lot. It was a lot.
Great season,
Guys,
though.
remember-
Banger season.
Great season.
It was.
Great season.
I'm saying
Guys,
it's the new 6 because like we just constantly talk about it.
That's true.
So true.
You guys remember when I took an edible and told everyone that Shanks is Shanks?
Oh my god.
Like night 2
Yep.
or something? Yeah.
Yep.
No, in the
Iconic.
pressure cooker.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a pressure cooker.
Night 2, he sent me a
Actually-
feet picture, and I was like, "Why'd you send me this, Jake? Now I know you're you."
Oh wait, that's when you got the strike, right?
Yes.
Yes, he got the. You were,
Iconic.
Alex was like, "Why did Clementine get a strike?" And we couldn't tell her why he got the strike.
Actually,
I'm so
Jake,
confused.
while you're here, I just want you to know that you pissed me off a lot in BBR 15
Why?
because you were always fucking telling shit to
Oh.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Mistake.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's partly why Doom left too. I will never
So
let
we
anybody
said
live down.
we
Doom's
said the new
demise.
we said the new 6. I think Sydney has something from the old 6 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yes, because
What
I
is
only
it?
played 2 seasons. And I didn't host that much, so my knowledge of HOHs is limited. But this is actually a great example. So in 6, pre-jury, Ashlea wins HOH, and she's on the side of the house with her partner, Sarah/Shinx, and Janelle and Kaser and blah blah blah. So they
My
want
only
to take a
partners were
shot.
Janelle and Kaser. I don't know who Ashley is. I love Jason.
Okay, I'm talking. I'm talking. So because that side wins, and the other side of the house is me, Rachel, James/Doom/Matt in real life, Howie, Yvette, blah 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 blah. They want Ashley to put up 2 people from my side of the house, like 2 strong people, and they want to target James. Ashlea actually had like a working relationship with me and James. So she's kind of like on the fence about fully targeting James. So she decides to go probably the dumbest route and put up James next to Bo, which Bo was on our side, but he was just like fodder. He was like literally like
Ranged, yeah.
he was a victim. He was a victim. So he so as oh okay. Well, so Ashlea puts them 2 up together and essentially goes into James's DMs and tells him like, you're going up, and he's like, why? Because at this point we have not clocked that there's a different side of the house because me and James are stupid. So we're like, what? This makes no sense. And Ashley is like, well, and she kind of dilly-dallies around it, and then essentially she's like, I want to keep you, like I'll work with you, but only if you tell me who your partner is. So if you tell me who your partner is, then I'll work with you, and like I really like working with you, but you need to tell me who your partner is. And James is like, I'm not telling you that. And because James went up next to Bo, it was we ended up being able to like flip the vote to keep James, and it was Bo left anonymously. unanimously.
Can
sorry.
I wait? Can I just throw
No,
in one?
can you just wait
This-
one fucking
This
second?
is
Oh my
important.
god.
This is
I will
important.
just wait a second. Let me finish, and then yes, you can revise and edit history. And so then the next week, James wins HOH, and in retribution puts Ashley up, and Ashley leaves last pre-jury spot, and it was so sweet, so beautiful. Anyway, so not good bedside manner.
With a
Now,
direct
Shanks,
quote,
please.
with a direct quote of "Who gives a fuck? It's pre-jury."
I was just going to add that within this week, it was actually as HOH, but it was my HOH, and I was telling her what to do basically, but I was giving her
And she didn't
some like
listen.
control, and then when it came to the vote, I was real life T. He just got dumped, so I was trying to not be a dickhead to him, and I wish I just was a dickhead to him, but I was like, okay, you know what? You had a rough week. You can have your HOH back. I'm gonna stop micromanaging you. Who do you want to go home? Because we can control the vote. We were all like, we think it's better to vote out James. He was like, I want Bo gone. And we were like, are you sure? And he was like, yes. We were like, okay. And then
Also, wait, I have one
Yeah.
more moment. So in Mac and Cheese Bites, which was the alliance with Ashley, Janelle, Kesar, and Sarah. So Ashley has just won HOH. The three of them, Janelle, Kesar, and Sarah, are like, okay, we're gonna put up James next to Rachel, blah blah blah, something like that. And then Ashley just goes, Yvette. And they all go, what?
What?
What about her? What? And then Ashley goes, I want to put her up. And then it's just immediate, like, what the fuck? Why? Why would you want to do
we
that?
had an
Please
alliance
don't
with
do
Yvette and
that.
Howie. Like we were the three duos. Like that was a thing. And just like, can you stop
It's so
a
bad.
second?
It's so
And yeah,
fucking
the bedside
funny.
manner was horrible. And
So bad on
I
so many
wish
levels.
I just cursed him out and said, don't be fucking dumb. But I didn't. And that's my regret. So
Literally
now I
did.
tell people
So
don't be fucking dumb.
funny.
But you
yeah,
know
that
what?
was-
If that hadn't happened, you wouldn't have had your storyline on 6. So
Exactly.
true.
you should be
If
grateful.
you
for
don't,
it.
if Ashley doesn't go, you don't go on your rampage. You don't get evicted later, and then you don't go on to plan second chances and win. So it all
What if
worked
I
out.
just win? What if I just win 6? Especially to listen to
You weren't
though?
winning 6. Let's be so real. Let's be.
I might have.
You weren't winning 6.
I might
You were
have.
not
We
winning
don't
6.
know. We
You
Okay.
were
can't
not
say that
winning
for
6.
certain. Anyways,
Jake, do you
Alex,
have a
wait.
nominee for a special moment that you would like to throw in the ring?
Since we all keep talking about ourselves,
Period. Period.
and since we all keep talking about 15,
Exactly.
I've alluded to this a few times, but I'm throwing Sunflower in there. Week 4.
Hell yeah.
Week 4. Okay, so
Week 3.
there are.
Oh yeah, it was Zelda, right? Because Sunflower.
Are you
was
talking
me.
about when you
So-
got nominated or when Sunflower? was
No.
nominated?
I was probably rightfully nominated whenever I was nominated. Okay, so I'm gonna preface all of this by saying this is a year ago now. Almost
Almost to the
exactly. I
day,
think it was 11
probably,
months.
yeah.
I
Wow.
only remember in particular 2 things from this season. Both of them happen to be endurance based. The first thing was obviously going like 30 whatever fucking hours with Tiny Calm
Aaron and
Mhm.
Tiny
and Aaron.
Hazel. She's so crazy.
And then
Love that bitch.
the
We love you, Hazel.
second endurance competition was Sunflower wins HOH and just fucks off for 23 and a half hours.
Oh my god, you're
Liam!
right. You're
And then-
right. Oh
and
my
then-
god.
Logs on. Liam logs on at the 11th
Like
11th and a
58
half
or
hour.
something, I swear. He was that close.
and goes, "Hey guys, drank the dumb bitch juice. Deal with it." And we had to deal with it.
And deal with it. You did.
I'm literally
Not-
joking.
Not well.
Sunflowers Week 3 HOH. Just
I
Go
forgot
to
he
history
did
book.
that.
because
was
that kicked
so
off the
fucked
Doom. It
up.
kicked off all the Doom shit. So
Yeah.
it all
That
leads
was
back to
so
Doom.
fucked up.
All roads
It
lead
all
back to
leads
Doom,
back
and
to
all roads lead
Doom.
back to Sunflower.
Matt, you will always be. Ugh, Matt, love you.
Matt, you will never die in our hearts.
Truly.
Exactly.
I was asking production like, hey, what happens if the HOH like misses the deadline again? Because
Oh, I was so mad when he actually came on.
I was like, oh, we were pissed.
Liam was
but,
so
yeah.
crazy that season. Like, I know he's crazy like every season, but that was like
It was a special.
that was crazy.
It was a special.
We love
breed
you, Liam.
episode.
I'm
Alright.
so dead.
Does anyone?
Lastly, Alex.
Yeah.
Oh
Alex?
yes. Okay, so
Take
mine.
us away.
Speaking of talking about ourselves, I would like to nominate my HOH in season 13 when okay, so to preface this, season 13 was kind of like the newbies versus the vets, right? Because, you know, that's just the way the season was set up. And the pre-jury was basically Chelsea and Joshua, a duo, just fucking
Yeah.
trading off HOHs. It was the most frustrating thing in the world. And then
Yeah.
like when they
HOH
didn't get an
order.
HOH, it was like Amber or
I can
like
read the order. It was
K-Star. Yeah, please do.
Chelsea week 1, vet.
Mhm.
Joshua week 2, vet,
Mhm.
and a partner of Chelsea. Speaking of Chelsea week 3.
Jesus
So
Christ.
Chelsea is now 2 for 2 on HOH at this point.
Yeah.
Week 4, Kaser's first competition win in Rewind history is
I-
fucking
Good job
HOH.
for him.
Amazing.
So proud of him.
And
Crazy.
Kaser is linked up with who? Chelsea and Joshua. And then who wins HOH in week 5, going unprecedented 3-for-3, 100% HOH rate? Chelsea.
Yep.
Who wins week 6? Amber. And then what finally breaks the streak? Shelly in week 7.
Because Shelly was so
Finally.
fucking sick of the vets winning that it was like a spam comp. And I took an edible and I went fucking insane. I was like so honed in on it. I was like, because the thing was, I didn't trust Jake, no offense. I didn't trust you to win HOH.
Oh.
Oh,
and
I didn't trust
Gagged
Jake
him.
in HOH.
I did not trust Adam to win either. I was like, I don't trust these other hoes to know what to do with a spam comp.
Yeah.
I've hosted them before. I've run them before. Like, I know what to do with a spam comp.
You're
fucking
a
winning.
bad
Mind you, this is the
bitch.
start of jury.
You are a
Pre-
bad bitch.
Pre-jury
This
was
is-
literally all vet HOH. This is the first round of
Yes,
jury.
this is
and
first
into
juror.
HOH.
And so and by the way, I had no business winning that HOH. I was like
You really
everyone's
didn't.
friend. I was such a fucking snake that game. And I was like so afraid of going on the block against Adam because I was like, oh no, people are going to try to take me out. People like Adam.
Yeah.
And so I basically tried to get in with Chelsea and Joshua because I'm like, well, they're winning everything. So I've got to like lie to their faces and try to suck up to them. So then when I finally won HOH, I had been like talking to everyone about how my targets were Jelsia. And I was afraid, it was a combination of, I was afraid of like how much I had spoken to everyone about like how these are my noms, that I was afraid of taking too long and then being like sus of why I was taking so long.
Yeah.
And also the fact that I had just dropped my back off at the airport to go to Malaysia and I was really depressed and I had just had like
Oh.
2 bottles of wine.
Right. Yeah.
And so I drunkenly was like, okay, so fuck this. I will like just do my nominations in 2 hours. Like I speed ran that HOH and
Yeah.
I basically was just
Queen.
like, hey, sorry, I lied to you guys both. You're both going on the block now. Joshua, sit the fuck there. Chelsea, okay, don't tell Joshua this, who's like your bestie, but like you're not the target. I know you think you're gonna be the target, but like you're not really the target. And like don't compare notes. It's fine. It's totally fine. Because actually she wasn't. Because my thing was like, well, Chelsea's social game is kind of shit. So like I'd rather her stay, even if she's better at comps.
Yeah.
Because like Joshua can kind of go under the radar more. Chelsea is gonna piss people off. But like, so basically I just made a complete mess of things. And then Chelsea was like completely blowing up my game because she had clocked that I was in a trio with like Kesar and Angie because that was pretty fucking obvious looking back, but like I thought I was slick at the time and it was just I was fighting for my life every single week after that. Like I
You
went from
really
being
were.
sitting so pretty to being like on the bottom just clawing my way from week to week. The next week
It was
after,
it was mother side.
the only reason I stayed the next week was because me and Angie like joint gaslit Kesar
I was
into
gonna bring that up.
nominating Chelsea next to me. Like
Made you work
it was
for it.
just
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That
I was
was-
gonna mention, Chelsea won the HOH, so Shelly had to nominate Kaser, who she was working with. So she had to make 3 nominations when she should have been making 0. And then Kaser wins. The ramifications that week did not stop because Kaser then won the next HOH
yeah.
and should have nominated Shelly. And looking at he did nominate Shelly.
He did,
And-
yeah.
Oh yeah, he nominated
Yeah,
me and Dom.
He did.
Yeah.
Now and Dominic, and then
And then
Dominic on the
backdoor
veto.
Chelsea,
And they were
yeah.
like the entire literally, we talked about this last season. I think every single individual not named Chelsea was in Kaser's DMs trying to get him nominated. Chelsea.
Yeah.
And you could honestly, let's throw that on the fucking poll too, because Chelsea was so mad at Kaser. It was ridiculous. Chelsea, are you stupid? Are you so stupid? Why are you doing this? And I'm like, I was like, Kaser, if the entire house is telling you to nominate somebody at final 7, you should probably not be nominating that person. And Chelsea was
Unless
just like,
that person's name is Tiny Kong, in which case it
Yes,
is the right
that's-
fucking choice.
Yeah.
Can
sorry,
I just
final
say
8, but still,
the
yeah.
run
So I'm
from-
honestly
the
add
run
Kaser
of
to the
thir-
list.
Okay. The run from 13, 14, 15, 16, like absolutely fucking insane.
The
Yeah.
So good. It is
Insane
such
era
a really
of Big
good-
Brother Rewind.
Yeah.
And 2 of you were in 2 of those seasons. One of you was in one of those seasons. I mean, Slayers all around. Like,
And even then, we can take out 12, and like 11 is a part of that too. So
exactly. We just 12 was just like the stain. 12 is just the stain.
12 has its
12
own.
Okay, but-
happened to get to 13. That's what happened.
Right. No, yeah.
I think that is about wrapping us up. We have a
Yeah.
total of 7 nominees for the worst head of household bedside manner.
We love you.
I'm-
everyone
I'm
we
voting this
mentioned.
time. I'm voting this
As
time.
you should.
As you should.
We will get that up along with all of our updates. Extra special thank you, Jake, for joining us this week.
Yeah,
It was
very
Thank you,
lovely
Jake.
Thank you so much, King.
No
Take
problem,
care of your
guys.
kids, Lawon.
And of course, my lovely regular host, thank you so much for being here as well. And thank you for listening. We'll see you guys next time on the Rewinds Rewind. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Make your vote count.
Guys.